When your website is slow, outdated, and nearly impossible to update, that's more than a design problem. That's a business problem. And that was exactly the case for this client here that we're going to be taking a look for, Salon Interiors. They had an old hand-coded website that was over a decade old and was not helping them in any form or fashion from a marketing perspective. There was an e-commerce component that barely worked. And while there were two separate divisions within their company catering to different target audiences, they had no clear brand strategy in place in order to properly communicate this distinction. So in this case study, I'm going to show you how I helped them clarify their brand story, build a new website with a sleek design, and ultimately how we also had a highly functional e-commerce component listing out over 1,000 products with several variations across the entire catalog. So without further ado, let's just get into it. And if you're new here, by the way, my name is Bailey Canning. I'm an independent full stack marketing strategist based here in Denver, Colorado, primarily working with my clients on exactly these types of projects: brand strategy engagements, web design and development projects, and ongoing marketing retainers. So this client, their name is Salon Interiors. One way to think of them is that they are essentially a high-end boutique salon design studio. Basically, they are providing interior design and remodeling services for their salon clients. But it also goes deeper than that. They also will work with their clients in order to help them optimize their business. They're thinking about how can we have the layout be properly situated to be able to get the most amount of clients in the door, POS systems, how to price their services, all that sort of stuff. And then they also have a commercial division where they are providing in-house manufacturing services and basically helping B2B style companies furnish their offices with furniture that they are building in-house. Last couple details here. So this project was the brand strategy portion that I mentioned. I then designed and developed the website. It's actually not built in Webflow. This is my last WordPress build we are looking at today. And I'll tell you why at the end, but this project from a technical perspective is the reason why I was done with WordPress after this project. But still, I was using the Oxygen Builder, so we were able to build out a custom designed website in a very similar fashion to Webflow. The way I came in contact with this client is that they were a referral from an IT firm I was working with. They were one of the clients of the IT firm. So let's get right into it, starting with the strategy phase, of course. So let's go into the keynote presentation, as you can see. And here we have the cover slide, and then this was the agenda. So we were talking about the website goals and objectives. We were going to review the competitor analysis. They had sent me over some competitors to look at and get my opinion on. Then we were going to review their current website, what's wrong with it, what's working, what's not. Quite honestly, not a lot was working, so this was a formality. But I always do a full website audit as part of a website redesign project because I believe it's important for the client to know exactly where they stand, what's working with their website, and what needs significant improvement. Then we talk about the content strategy of the website. Then we also looked at a lot of visual design examples. I knew from the start that we were going to have fantastic design on this website because they are in a very design heavy space, of course. And then we also had a Q&A section at the end. So here I just map out what exactly are our goals, what are our objectives, and then of course, how are we going to measure these by the KPIs or key performance indicators. And everything in this presentation you'll see is really just meant to facilitate a conversation. And I was actually living in Hoboken, New Jersey at the time, and this company is based right in Hackensack, New Jersey. So we had this meeting in person, which was fantastic. Always want to do these meetings in person if the geography in this case allows. So this was basically just to get a conversation started. Then we go into the competitor website analysis. So they had me review a couple different competitors. This is something I always do as part of a website strategy portion of a project. Then I give them my notes. Then we did some SEO research and other digital marketing research to see what were the rankings like, things of that nature. Then we looked at more competitors. So basically it's a qualitative and quantitative analysis. So I look at the website, I give my overall thoughts, and then I do some pulling of data to see what they're doing from a marketing perspective. So I believe we looked at 5 or 6 different competitors. Then I just give them my overall key takeaway on the entire competitive landscape based on the websites. A lot of the competition here was not doing great from a competitive landscape perspective. That was obviously very good for us. Then we get into reviewing the current website. Here you can see exactly what it looked like. This is the only surviving screenshot I believe I have. And yeah, as you can see, not horrible, but it certainly had an outdated look. This was literally it. It was just a slider. And while it did have the functionality, again, like I said, it was hand coded, so they didn't have a CMS to work with. They had no ability to be able to go in and update pages, add new ones. And then overall, most importantly, there was just no marketing and communication messaging being done on the website. It was basically an online brochure, which worked in 2007 or so whenever it was built, but we were doing this project a couple years ago, back in 2021, and at that time it was certainly not going to fly any longer. So I basically give them my overview of that and my honest analysis. We then go over their SEO rankings. Then I talk about what is the content strategy of the website going to be. So here you can see the sitemap front and center. These were all the different pages I was responsible for building out as part of this project. And then I talk about on all these different pages, what types of content are we going to have? And then I give them examples of the type of content we might want to consider. Very important in my experience to get this done at the start of the project, because a lot of this content the client may end up being responsible for. And we want to make sure that we have the roadmap to be able to build this out. We don't want to get to development, be 2 weeks out from launch, and then still be spinning our wheels in terms of trying to generate this content. And then I also outline what I think we should have on each page, as you can see here. This makes it very easy later on to go into design because we've already outlined, at least in a conversation, what we think each page should have. Then it's on to visual direction. So here I basically have a bunch of links, as you can see, to a bunch of websites that I thought would be good inspiration. And then I also grabbed a bunch of screenshots from different templates and other websites that I just got their opinion on in real time. They did like this overlapping look, which you will see was integrated on the website design as well. So that was the strategy presentation essentially. Then I outlined questions and next steps. Then the other key thing to note here is that about a week later, we did this StoryBrand Workshop. So basically, this is just a very quick 2-hour branding workshop I'll do with clients who are just looking to do a quick rebrand. You'll see it's based on the book Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Basically, and I explained them, with some pop culture movie references, but basically the idea here is that we're going to look to position the company as the guide in the hero story, and the hero in this case is going to be the prospective clients. Very important to communicate this way. I'm sure you'll go to websites and you'll see how the messaging is very like we focused or us or I focused. And the thing is that people just don't care, quite honestly. They care about themselves, so they see themselves as a hero. And this is very important because this is basically how we were able to create a new brand strategy in order to clearly differentiate distinctively between the two different segments of the business, the salon design business portion, as well as the B2B wholesale corporate division. This was the steps we followed, and I've done a video on this in the past, so I will link that above if you want to check out more info into what the brand strategy workshop entails. Let's go into design here. So let's start with the low fidelity UX mockups. I actually hired a designer as part of this project to help me collaborate, and this worked out very well because we had the budget to do for this project. It was a very significant project. It was quite honestly one of the biggest projects of my career to date. So you can see here, this was the UX wireframes. So basically what we're looking to do here is map out the content on every single page of the website. This way the client understands what exactly each page is going to feature, and they're able to get a very high level, think like blueprints to a home, for example, overview of each page. This is very important because in this section, as you can see, we have no design elements really. We're just looking to nail down the content structure and layout of each page. Once we get that approved, we're then going to start developing the copy of each page. But this is just key because we don't want to be in the next phase of the project, the UI design phase. We don't want to be designing elements that we're not even sure we want on the page. So we need to finalize the content and layout structure for every single page on the website. And then once that's approved, then we can move into UI design, which is what I will show you now. And then basically we mocked up the final design of all the different pages on the website. So you can see here, this was the home page. This is the Salon homepage. So as part of this, we had two different websites essentially within the website. So we had a salon division and then we had the corporate division. So you can see here, everything was mocked up. The client was able to preview and leave their comments here in Figma. And then this gave them a very clear understanding of what the website was going to look like. This gives them confidence here to sign off on the design direction and know that once we get it developed, it's going to look very good and be able to help them achieve their branding goals in terms of communicating their unique value proposition. It's going to help them achieve their marketing goals in terms of being able to generate leads, and they know it's going to be able to be a sales machine long-term for their business. So they were able to see all the different mock-ups of the salon pages. We then had different mock-ups of the e-commerce pages, and then we had different mock-ups of the commercial pages here as well. And then of course they eventually approved this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, if you're getting value out of this video and you believe your company could benefit from a similar project engagement, then I invite you to schedule a complimentary one-to-one strategy call with yours truly. And fear not, this is not going to be a sales pitch. Rather, it is just going to be a genuine conversation where I will take the time to learn more about you, your company, the industry you work in, the competitive landscape, and what, of course, your marketing and sales goals are. And based on everything you tell me, I will help you outline a branding, web design and development roadmap, and ongoing marketing strategy so that you can grow your brand awareness online, generate more leads, and of course, ultimately grow revenue. So if that sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the description here. It is an interactive video form. It takes only about 5 minutes to fill out, but gives me all the essential information I need to ensure we may be a good fit to work together. And if you are qualified, then you'll actually be able to book a meeting directly on my calendar. So if you're finally ready to invest in your company's online presence and overall marketing strategy, check out the strategy call link in the form, fill the form out, jump on a call with me, and we'll help you map out a marketing strategy. All right, without further ado, let's get back into the video. So let's go on to the live website now, as you can see here. So we again have these two different doors. As soon as you load up the website, people can go into the salon or the commercial side of the business. And then we have a quick message from the owner as well. So let's start with the salon side. So basically right away you can see here we have a slideshow. So the hero section, the images rotate in every couple of seconds here, as you can see, quickly giving people a preview of their portfolio. Then we have an about section, then we have quick links to different design services and then different products as well, and then a little overview. They've been in business for over 44 years, as you can see, so very historic company. Then we have a video testimonial slider section, so people can get videos, if they were to click into one of these, of the actual client testimonials. Then we have a client list as well. From what I understand, the salon industry within New Jersey is like very tight knit. So if you are a salon owner here and you're looking to hire maybe salon interiors, you probably will already know a lot of these clients here. And then we have a little CTA here for people to view some different projects right away if they want to. Subscribing to the email newsletter, which has a nice cool pop-up feature. And then links here to different areas of the website, different key pages, and then finally a CTA for the consultation. So again, you can start to see how we're going with this off-grid type design here. We have this main blue, we'll call this like a purplish blue. Then we also have this navy that we have as well. And then also we have the yellow, which is the accent color in the design here. Then we go on to the about page. So you can see we have a consistent design through all the different hero sections. We have the photo backgrounds here, and then we have the headlines, which have a little overlay as well. And then again, we're going with this overlapping design. Here we have the different materials they work with. We have a history section. So again, in this case, it does not span. You'll see this background does not span the full width. And then we also have this line texture, which just adds a lot more visual interest to the website. Also adds a lot more depth as well, as you can see. And then again, we're going with the overlapping images. This is a design style the client really liked. Then you can see these were the main clients I worked with. And then the CTA section here as well. And then more areas for them to view prospective clients. So I really do think this is a beautiful website. You can see a slight drop shadow. It came out fantastic. We have the salon design page here, so we outline the process real quick. You can see we have a little video explaining it, and then you can see again we have this yellow accent to accent the headlines in this case. And again, we're able to use this texture even on the blue backgrounds. We have the process, overlapping images. So yeah, the website came out fantastic. A different testimonial section. In this case, people could click here to watch it if they want to. And then finally, let's talk about the portfolio page. So of course, every type of company like this needs to have a portfolio. I would say this might be my favorite project up there. So let's take a look at this one. You can see here we have some fast facts. We have a big hero section photo. Then we have a gallery of the different projects, and then people can click into it to get a light box and then a slider to go through the different images. And then at the end, we have different related projects. And then also we have a CTX section here for people to request a quote. Now let's talk about the shop element, this e-commerce element. You can see here, as soon as you click on the shop drop-down menu, you have a mega menu. So this basically makes it super easy for people to go directly into whatever they're looking for. And then we also have some featured hot items, if you will. For example, let's go into Salon chairs here. As you can see here, now we have this, which was built with a WordPress plugin. This basically allows them to drill into subcategories. So maybe they want barber chairs, maybe they want like chairs specifically for children. They want to by color, maybe these different colors. They can sort by different brands as well. They can do a search directly. They can search by the price, all that type of stuff. So this was a very fully functional e-commerce website. Honestly, as I do this now, this is better than like the Amazon product filters, if you ask me. And then here you can see, once you click in, you have the options to go into the product page here. We have different photos as well for people to look at. And then there are different variations as well. So yeah, very highly customizable e-commerce website here. It was all built using WooCommerce and WordPress, if you're familiar. So it worked out very well. Very happy with how this came out. It was a big lift, not gonna lie. It took me, I don't even want to know how many hours it took me, quite frankly, but it really did come out very well. The client was very happy with it all. You can see here, this is the main product grid of all the different items they have. And yeah, it came out very well. Very happy with how it came out. And yeah, e-commerce is not something I typically do, but this was my most impressive e-commerce project to date, no doubt about it. Now let's check out the commercial side of the business before we wrap up here. So this is the commercial side, where they are essentially building out office furniture in-house and then working with corporate companies across New Jersey, New York City, all that type of stuff. As you can see here, kind of outline the key elements here. Then we talk about like their state-of-the-art manufacturing facility, which we'll talk about in a second. We're talking about all the different materials they can work with. And then we also have a portfolio for the corporate side of the business as well. And then testimonial sections, again, still going with the off-grid type design here. We wanted to have the same design language overall, but we agreed that the corporate side or the commercial side should be a little less design focused and a bit more conservative, if you will. So that was the idea here, because we're talking to two different segments of the market, and the design should reflect that in order to resonate, of course. So then we have this facility page here, and the client had some really cool video content that we were able to add in, and this just adds such a professional feel. I'm a huge fan of doing these video backgrounds if you can do it. We're still keeping in line though the same color scheme as well as the overlapping design elements. Again, you can see that here. And then we have an overview of the different items in the facility here. Very good. And honestly, these machineries, believe it or not, they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I remember the owner gave me a tour of the facility when we were first getting to know each other. He's talking about how items were worth like $500,000, $600,000. I was like, it's literally more than people's houses. Pretty crazy. Yeah. So that's basically the website. Then we have a contact page, of course. I thought this was very nicely designed as well. Everything is very on brand. Everything's very sleek. And then you can see this interactive map where the client is based out of. Yeah, very cool, very good website. Probably my most impressive build to date when this website was launched. So yeah, it came out fantastic. I hope you like what you saw here. Definitely feel free to drop any questions in the comments and I'll get back to you on this project. If you want to know why this was my last WordPress project, basically we went to launch the site on a terrible hosting provider. I forget which one it was actually called. It was one I had never heard of at the moment. And we just weren't able to launch the website due to like bandwidth limits and things of that nature. So yeah, it was a failed migration. We had to delay the launch because of it. Eventually we chose Cloudways, which is probably the best host in the game for WordPress, and so that's what we've been using ever since. But it was just such a train wreck, and I knew if I just used Webflow, which probably wouldn't have worked for this project either due to the e-commerce component, but honestly, I was just like, after that, I'm like, listen, we got to go with Webflow all the time, which the only reason why I chose WordPress for this build still was because of the significant e-commerce component. So that's the project. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to drop a question in the comments and I'll get back to you when I can. Otherwise, like I mentioned, if you want to get on a strategy call, if you're impressed with the work you saw here, there's a link in the description. Fill out the form. If you're qualified, you can book a meeting directly with me, and I look forward to meeting with you if so. Otherwise, take care. Thank you for watching. Bye.